So I have often speculated about what I would do if I had my own streaming service. What shows I would put on there, how I would advertise them, when I would release them, how I would release them. Now, that's just idle thought. I've never been in that position, so I don't truly know what I would do if I were. However, I know one thing for a fact that if I did have my own streaming service and I had a show like Eyes of Wakanda, you wouldn't be able to get me to shut up about it. I would be telling everyone that that show was on my streaming service. So it blows my mind at how badly Disney Plus has handled Eyes of Wakanda. It's insane. So, for those of you who don't know, Eyes of Wakanda was actually supposed to be one of the first original MCU shows to be on Disney Plus, but it's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And then finally, just mid July of this year, we finally get a trailer for the show. Just a couple of weeks before it's supposed to be released. And in that trailer, and I know this because I wrote it down, the show was announced to be released on Wednesday, August the 6th. Then, same month, San Diego Comic-Con weekend happens, and famously, during this year's San Diego Comic-Con, there was no MCU Marvel Studios presence at the event. Nothing scheduled. Then suddenly the Thursday, the first day of San Diego Comic-Con this year, out of nowhere, it's announced that Eyes of Wakanda is getting a panel. Okay, it was not scheduled originally. And they held the panel in one of the smaller rooms, and it was painfully obvious that the people present at the panel were talent associated with the project that were already present at San Diego Comic-Con. So it was very apparent that this was a last-minute thing. And it was then that, as far as I know, was the first time that they announced that they had moved the release day from Wednesday, August the 6th, to the Friday before that. The Friday earlier, meaning being August the 1st. I didn't know this until the Monday after. I get home, and I look at social media, and all 4 episodes of Eyes of Wakanda are on Disney Plus. I'm like, what? That's not supposed to come out until Wednesday. Anyway, and the only reason I know all the information that I just gave you is because Mark Bernardin, who wrote 2 out of the 4 episodes of the show, told that whole story that I just told you on Fat Man Beyond, which is the podcast that he co-hosts with Kevin Smith. So, and he didn't give any details as to why Disney made the decisions that they made. He just said in a very diplomatic way that he felt like they didn't know how good of a show they had in their hands. And then Comic-Con weekend came, and they went, oh crap, we have this really cool show, let's show it off. With that said, that trailer, that first trailer that they released is amazing. Among many things, that number one thing that stood out to me is that the animation is beautiful. It is hands down the best animation for a fully animated show to come out of Marvel Studios. Now, X-Men 97, the animation is really, really good, and thus far, that was the best animated show until Eyes of Wakanda. Eyes of Wakanda is on a whole other level, if you can believe that. The animation in that show is feature good, meaning that it can stand shoulder to shoulder with whatever Pixar's releasing or whatever DreamWorks is releasing or Illumination. It is feature level good. I am not kidding. Which is a massive jump to stuff like What If or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, where, yeah, those shows are okay, but the animation is just not on the level of an installment or something that was released by one of Disney's biggest brands. X-Men 97, yes. Eyes of Wakanda, whoosh, holy crap, whole other level. So, the big question is, why the heck, if they mishandled the show as much as they did, why the heck did Disney produce this show, greenlight this show? Well, this show was a part of a 5-year deal that Disney made with Ryan Coogler, which the motivation behind said deal, believe it or not, came from the firing of James Gunn. For those of you who don't remember, right after Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, James Gunn was fired over some really, really old tweets where he made some very distasteful jokes on Twitter, which is one of the top 10 dumbest reasons to fire anyone from anything. The only thing that he's guilty of is having a bad sense of humor when he was in his 20s. So they fire James Gunn. He leaves, immediately gets hired by Warner Brothers, makes The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, which are huge hits. And then Disney goes, maybe we were dumb. We're going to hire him back. So they hire him back. He makes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is another big hit. And then having fulfilled his Marvel contract, leaves, goes back to Warner Brothers, where he becomes the head of the new DC universe, which so far is doing ridiculously well. And just FYI, for those of you who, when he got fired, felt really bad for him, just to let you know, when somebody's under contract and the company that with whom he holds that contract with lets him go, it's not just a matter of you're fired, get out of here. We're not going to pay you anymore. You're done. No, they have to buy out that contract. They are contractually obligated to, from their end, to compensate him for the work that he is contracted to do. So if they release him and he doesn't do that work, they're still contractually obligated to pay him to buy out his contract. So they bought out his contract, let him go, then rehired him, meaning they had to renegotiate his contract. So James Gunn got paid for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 twice. So at the end of the day, he was the one laughing all the way to the bank. So suffice it to say, Disney didn't want to make the same mistake again. So here you have Ryan Coogler, who is a critically acclaimed director, who's one out of a handful of directors who has directed a $1 billion movie for Marvel that was not an Avengers movie. So you want to hold on to that guy. So they locked them into a 5-year contract to ensure that he would make 2 more Black Panther movies and also create more content, more award-worthy, successful content for Disney+. And that's where Eyes of Wakanda came from. It came from that contract as far as stuff that he wanted to do. But the lack of enthusiasm from Disney as far as this particular project is concerned, it is still confounding. And I'm not going to sit here like a conspiracy theorist and speculate about that, but it's kind of embarrassing. Anyway, so before I say anything about the actual show, I would like to issue a light spoiler warning. I don't plan to give away the ending of the whole series or anything like that or any major plot points, but the best part of my experience of watching this show was walking into it not knowing what to expect and being completely blown away. And I don't want to mess up that experience for anyone. So if you want to go in fresh, just like me, and be blown away in the same manner that I was, you might want to stop the video here, because now I'm going to start, digging into the show and talking about it. So what is Eyes of Wakanda about? Well, as the years worn on, there were many, many, many speculations as to what the heck this show was. Like I said, it was supposed to be one of the first Marvel Disney Plus shows, but it kept getting delayed. So for many years, people thought that it was gonna be about the supporting characters from the Black Panther movies, like M'Baku or Nakia, but it's not. And for a while there, it was thought the show was thought to be about Okoye, who is arguably the second most popular character from the Black Panther movies, but it's not. And then for a while there, it was thought that the show was going to be about the Dora Milaje, which sounds awesome, but it's not. So what is the show about? What is this show? Well, this is a 4-part anthology series, meaning that each episode tells a different story with a different cast. But very much in the exact same style of Predator, Killer of Killers, which I highly recommend. It's also on Disney Plus. All these little anthology stories end up tying together, having one ongoing thread that ties them all together, and at the end they all connect. And not only connect with one another, but also connect with the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Also, watch Predator, Killer of Killers. It's awesome. Anyway, so as far as the plot of the show is concerned, basically we see the creation of the War Dogs. And for those of you who don't remember, the War Dogs are the Wakandan spies that are stationed all around the globe, keeping an eye on different countries of power and making sure that they A, don't achieve the same level of technology as Wakanda, B, don't steal Wakanda's technology, and C, don't find out about Wakanda's secrets. And Nakia is the main war dog that we meet in the first Black Panther movie. So in this show, one renegade Wakandan escapes Wakanda and with a bunch of Wakandan artifacts and technology, and wants to form his own kingdom, his own empire, that will include all sorts of people from all around the world. He names himself the Lion. However, while he is preaching freedom and equality, his idea of his own empire and own kingdom really sounds like a dictatorship. Plus, he's using Wakandan technology to achieve this. So the head of the Dora Milaje sends a former Dora named Noni, who's very rebellious, undercover to infiltrate the Lion's inner circle and stop him and get all the Wakandan artifacts and technology back. And while Noni does succeed, a lot of the artifacts are lost during her mission. So the show becomes about every time throughout history that one of the war dogs, she was the first war dog, all the war dogs after her, find one of these artifacts and the little adventure, the little encounter that happened throughout. The second episode takes place during the Trojan War, which was my favorite episode. Absolutely gorgeous. It's very much a historical fiction, and it takes elements from both actual history and Homer's epic poem, the Iliad, which makes me very happy. Absolutely beautiful. The third episode takes place in Kunlun, where one of the artifacts has been fashioned into the tongue of a statue of the sacred dragon, Shao Lao. And when the war dog steals the artifact, of course, this gets the attention of the current Iron Fist, which is Jorani, I believe, was the Iron Fist at the time, played by the absolutely lovely and super talented Jonah Shao. This one is the lightest of the episodes. The other episodes are very grounded and dramatic and kind of tragic to a degree. This one is very light and fun, having an Iron Fist running around Wakanda trying to get that artifact back. However, this is the only episode that I have anything negative to say about as far as the whole show, but it's a meaningless fanboy gripe, and it is as follows: that we had an Iron Fist in a Wakanda slash Black Panther show, and they never had the Iron Fist encounter the Black Panther from that era or fight that Black Panther, and I feel that that was a huge missed opportunity. But again, meaningless fanboy gripe. And then we have the fourth and final episode, in which the youngest prince from the current royal family, this takes place in 1896. So the youngest, Prince Tafari, he knows that because he's the youngest, he's not in line for the throne. He knows that he will not be Black Panther, so he wants to make his own mark. He wants to do something that's worthwhile. So he is training to be a war dog. And he succeeds in his mission. He gets the artifact back, and he's bringing it back to Wakanda when he's intercepted by a Black Panther from the far future. Apparently, them stealing that item back changed the course of history, and the future is very catastrophic. It's the post-apocalyptic world. So that Black Panther from the future travels back in time, so to put that item back where Tafari found it, so history will continue to flow in the same way as it would as part of the sacred timeline. Now, there was some criticism, there was some complaints that this violates the way that time travel works in the MCU. It does if your only knowledge of the time travel in the MCU is from Avengers Endgame. In Loki, it is clearly established over and over again that time travel in the MCU works exactly like in Back to the Future, where if you travel back in time and change something, it changes the future. However, the reason nothing changes in Avengers Endgame is because the TVA shows up wherever anything has changed, and they fix it, i.e. the variant of Loki that the Avengers end up creating during their mission in Endgame. So, because in this episode, the future Black Panther is traveling back in time to reset things the way they would be in the sacred timeline, of course the TVA doesn't interfere, because that, as they would put it, is supposed to happen just like the Avengers stealing the Infinity Stones from the past, which Captain America went back in time and put back where they were supposed to go anyway. So there you go. So, oh my God, this show, I can't say it enough. This show is amazing, and I cannot recommend it enough. I recommend it to everyone, especially people that love the Black Panther movies and love the corner of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that is inhabited by Wakanda. If you love that, it is 100% a must-see. Enough said. So, now it's time for everybody's favorite part of the video, the announcements. Right now, on my Patreon page, I am continuing a very well-received video that I did right here on my channel, which was the one in which I did a Legends of Fandom on the original version of the 2012 Avengers movie, which included Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, I am tearing yet another page out of Uatu's book, and I am doing What If Ant-Man and the Wasp had been there throughout the entire Infinity Saga. So if you want to hear me speculate and share ridiculous fan fiction, but you're not a patron, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/E-Rant and pledge $1. That's it. You pledge $1 and you're helping me to continue creating content, and in return, you get bonus videos. You can't beat that with a wooden stick. And now for the big announcement, what's going to be my next honest review. And in honor of Fantastic Four First Steps, I can't think of a better honest review to do next month to commemorate it than Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes. Such an underrated cartoon that very much did justice to Marvel's first family. So there you go. Thank you for your ongoing support, and I'll say it again because it is 100% true. I could not do what I do without you.